It has been just over 14 years since Patrick Rothfuss released A Wise Man's Fears, and it's been almost 14 years since George R.R. Martin released A Dance with Dragons. It's been almost 15 years since we've gotten any word about any of these stories. Meine Güte. And you know what? Patrick Rothfuss is nowhere near even getting started with the next book, Doors of Stone, and it is very clear that no one has a clue where George R.R. Martin is in writing Winds of Winter, if he will even ever finish the book. And I'm just left here baffled. You guys have had 15 years to crank out a book, and there is no more excuse. Yes, you do owe the people your books. It is high time that I take a sledgehammer to a bit of advice that was meant once upon a time to help people with their mental health, but has now become an excuse for laziness. So, welcome to another Writer's Rant brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And what a lot of people have said, and what we even here at Camille's Harem have said from time to time is, you don't owe a book to anyone, but allow me to get a little bit into the minutiae right here, because if you are just starting off as an author, if you're just doing this for fun, if you're interested in becoming a full-time author but you don't yet have your manuscript ready, no, you don't have to beat yourself up over getting that book done, because you don't owe anyone your book. But at the same time, you need your story, your stories need you, and the world needs your stories. I stand by that. However, if you are someone who has published traditionally, you do owe a book. Let's talk about this for a brief moment. If you are one of those lucky people who gets to publish your books through a publishing house, you have been paid. What's more is you are sealed into a contract. The publishers want either a specific book or a specific number of books in order for you to earn your pay. And they especially want you to hold up your end of the bargain because they are taking a chance on you. They are investing in you. And if you end up being one of those authors that makes them tons of book sales, which then means tons of money, they need that money to continue to pay for all of the work that they do, as well as to keep all of their employees afloat who are helping to make your story possible. And it allows them also to invest in other authors, giving them a chance to have a slice of the pie too. So especially if you're one of the big named authors like George R. Martin or Patrick Rothfuss, who've sold millions of copies of their books and have made a veritable mint, the publishing houses are relying on them to help keep them afloat and to give other authors a chance. Also, on top of that, these people have been contracted to deliver the books that they said that they would. And if you stop for a moment to think about it, Rothfuss and Martin are basically acting like one of those employees. We all know those kinds of coworkers. We've all had at least one of them before in the past. We might have been one of them at one point. Yeesh. Who showed up to work and did nothing, or would always find some kind of convenient way to call out or cut their shifts short, and you kept asking yourself, why isn't this person just fired already? When it comes to authors, they are bound within a contract that is not so easily broken as it is to fire someone who is clearly not doing their job at the store or at the restaurant or at the office. No, with an author, the author owns the creative rights to the story that is being published. They are the originator. It is their story. And especially if they've gone even further in trademarking characters or doing specific copyrights, then it becomes even harder to take that away from them. And you know what? The people who are earning their checks and who have rightfully published a really great book and are receiving royalties, they need that. They deserve that. And that's not to say that Martin and Rothfuss and others in their similar situation don't deserve the royalties they get. Not at all. But they are expected to deliver what they are contracted to deliver. George R. Martin is contracted to deliver an entirety for A Song of Ice and Fire. 7 books. Patrick Rothfuss is contracted to deliver up 3 novels, being the Kingkiller Chronicles. If they do not deliver, they are not upholding their end of the bargain. However, it's not so simple to just get rid of them, because if the publishers say, well, fine, go away, you are not doing what we need you to do, this means that the publishers would not have access to the potential cash cow that will come when the series is finished, and also the author could bring them into a lengthy and costly courtroom battle for printing rights of their books and get them back, which would be devastating to the publishing house. So the publishers are really kind of under a boot to hold on to these guys who are not delivering anything to them except for little snippets of stories here and there, which don't sell at quite the same level as the big books do, which brings in all the money that they need. So the publishers are stuck in a situation where we would love to get rid of you, but we can't get rid of you because you're a cash cow. And we hope that one day you will deliver, because when you will deliver, you will bring in for us millions of dollars that we need to keep the whole operation running. Please deliver. So clearly, this is a sucky situation for the publishers to be in. But let's consider Martin and Rothfuss. What's been happening with them? Well, they've had their own lives. Let's admit it, Martin's getting old, and he was definitely sidetracked by the show. But Martin also just has this chronic problem where he can't finish anything. This goes for every project that he has ever been a part of. The only reason why something like Elden Ring got finished was because he didn't write the story. He advised on the story. The only reason why Star Trek The Next Generation was ever completed was because there was a whole host of other writers who were writing it, and not just him. He was only brought on for a series of episodes. When Martin's allowed to just kind of do little projects here and there, he actually thrives. Leave him to his own devices, oh boy, he can spin a great yarn, but then he does nothing with that yarn. And then on top of that, just, fame, popularity, the fear of aggravating his rabid fans, all of this just really got to the guy, and then he got really political and got involved in all different kinds of movements and whatnot. And hey, you know what? Go on ahead. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion and to their own life. But the thing is that Martin would rather just enjoy life and let the show complete his series for him, because he gave them the ending. Yes, Bran ending up on the Iron Throne is 100% how the story is supposed to end, and you know it's supposed to end that way from the very first book. If you missed it, you weren't paying attention. So Martin felt like he was in the clear, and then the show tanked because it was really horribly executed with what he gave them, because he didn't give them enough. So Martin's now in a situation where it's like, I need to write, but now he's just absolutely soul-crushing, and he's got his chronic problem where he never finishes anything. However, that is no excuse. Martin, George, you've had almost 15 years to finish the next book in the series, and you are somewhere in the beginning or in the middle. You have no more excuses. You owe your publishers a book. You owe your fans a book. You owe it to yourself to actually finish something for a change and write the dang book. You owe it to all the characters that you heartlessly and pointlessly murder that you actually finish the story. Yes, most of the characters you kill are pointlessly murdered because you have no idea how to actually write real politics. George, yes, finish it, George. I know you can finish it, or at least hand off all of your notes to a ghostwriter who can complete it for you. Just finish it. Because again, you owe it to your publishers, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your fans, you owe it to your story. You can do it. And then Patrick Rothfuss. Look, I can understand that you got a new author who gets in way over his head at the very beginning, who said that he would have all 3 books ready to go 1 year after the other. I've been in that situation as well. I thought I could do it. I thought within 6 years I could crank out the entirety of The Legend of the Ten Lords. And here we are nearly a decade later, and I am 3 books in. Hooray! So I get that. Plus, on top of that, Patrick Rothfuss has had family problems. He has his own mental health that he's got to take care of, family, work. The guy's got quite a bit going on, and I understand that. But here's the thing, is that in the same amount of time that it's taken him to write but 1 page for his next book, I have completed and published 10 books, multiple fan fictions, and worked on a ton of other projects, not just here on YouTube. It can be done. And I think that at a certain point, Patrick has just buried himself in excuses. And he knows that he's not delivering, which has only helped to feed and perpetuate this bad cycle of mental health on his part. He's stuck in a rut, and someone or something needs to help him get out of it, because he will start feeling better once he does right by his story. I think in this case, even though he is obligated to his publisher and must contractually deliver a book, and also his fans do deserve the book from him, ultimately Patrick Rothfuss is going to feel better when he can get fully back into the story, fall in love with the characters and the world all over again, and write it for himself. Problem is that everything that I've seen from him and about him, recently going down a rabbit hole of everything regarding the Doors of Stone, I'm left to wonder, does this guy even really care about being an author anymore? I think that deep down he does, but he needs to rediscover that love. He owes it mostly to himself to finish this, because I'm pretty certain that he will enjoy it once he starts going down this road again. And as a result, he'll be able to deliver on what he owes to his publisher, and of course the story that he rightfully owes to his fans after stringing them along for so many years. Yes, these are instances where you do owe a book to those people who rightfully deserve it. Not just the people that you're contractually obligated to, but for the people who you've made fans of your world and of your stories and of your characters, you owe it to them. And you owe it to your characters to bring them fully to life via a completed story. And you owe it to yourself, because as authors, when we are able to create these stories and bring them fully to life, it does something for us that's really hard to put into words, but it's a sense of completion, a sense of euphoria, a sense of just fantastic release, completion. And it brings a smile to your face and a brightness to your day that nothing else ever could. Now, I don't want this rant to just simply be, you two suck. Screw you, Martin. Screw you, Rothfuss. No. I mean, it definitely comes across that way, and that's because I do believe that these guys do owe people what they owe them. For Martin, he owes the masses 2 more books to finish up A Song of Ice and Fire, and Patrick Rothfuss owes the people the completion to his trilogy. They 100% do. 14 years is long enough to figure things out and to have made significant progress and finished those books. There really is there's no excuse to it anymore at this point. And I want to tell other people something that I myself did that really helped get me into the mindset of writing continuously and striving for specific goals and delivering, if not for anyone else, but for myself, doing just that. So back in 2017, I decided to start releasing a fan fiction for Bleach, because I really did not like the way that the story came to a close overall. No, not just the shipping bits, like everything about how Bleach ended was bad. and I had words. I had things that I wanted to say. I had a story that I myself wanted to tell, and so I started writing it. I'd already been here and there writing little bits about Bleach fanfiction and whatnot before Camille's Harem even really got underway, but I was finally convinced through a series of conversations, not just in regards to my own books, but just also with other friends of mine and with fans of Bleach, that, you know what, I'll deliver a story. It might not be a great story, might even be a bad story, but I'm going to deliver a story because, dang it, I just don't like the way that Bleach came to an end. Now, at the time, I was incredibly busy. I was in grad school. I was working on my first novel, Knights of Hallicruz. I was working part-time and later full-time, as well as having a social life. I was a very busy guy. How on earth would I ever deliver this fan fiction? What I did is I told myself, I will release one chapter each week until this thing is done. And by the end, I had 54 chapters within a year that I wrote and delivered up. Now, I'd already done some of the writing before I began posting, because I was like, okay, then I'm a really busy guy. I should have a little bit of a backlog of work that I've already done. So I got myself about 3-4 chapters ahead and then just pushed on through. And yeah, once or twice there were weeks that I didn't post because something happened, and maybe I didn't post on the exact same day that I wanted to for things to run like clockwork, but I held myself to it, where I was like, no, I'm going to publish, I'm going to publish, I'm going to publish, I'm going to publish. And I managed, again, to get 54 chapters done within a year, which amounted to just shy of 130,000 words. That's a full-on novel. A novel written in a year's time. Huzzah! Now, the reason why I really wanted to do this was not just simply for the sake of writing a fan fiction, but also because by this time I was seriously looking at what it might be like to be an author. I was having so much fun writing my first novel and coming up with other story ideas that I was like, what if I did do this full time? Could I make it? And Brandon Sanderson once said the only way that starting authors can really make it at all, if they wish to have a prayer, is that they need to publish at least 2 books a year, which is quite a bit of writing to do. And so I set myself that lofty goal of posting a new chapter for this fanfic every single week, even if no one else read it, even if it was just for me, because I had to prove to myself that I was committed to the idea, that I was committed to the story, and that I was going to deliver. And even if there was only one other reader out there, that this story would be there for that reader. Even if it was bad, I was still going to deliver it up. Even though I got bad reviews and nasty reviews for this fan fiction, I still went to deliver, because if I couldn't deliver for just this fan fiction, then what would that say about me as an author trying to make it in the cutthroat world of publishing? This is something that I think more authors really need to take to heart and to mind. Are you able to dedicate a significant amount of time and heart of your own personal energy to the story? Are you willing to stick with it through thick and thin in order to make this happen? Are you willing to write a story, if even just for yourself? Or if there's only one person out there in the world who will read it, are you going to write it just for them? If you can do that, you are ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with the greats of the writing world. Because if you can crank out an entire story, be dedicated to it, and finish it within a reasonable amount of time, and deliver what you feel is at least owed to you and to your story, then you will have done something amazing, and the world will receive it. And in that case, you're doing way better than 2 of the biggest names in fantasy of the modern age. So give yourself a pat on the back if you're able to do that. And this is something that every author should be able to do. Yes, at the beginning of your career, you don't owe anyone anything, because you're just getting started. But the moment that you do become published, the moment that you do begin gaining a fan base, the moment that you begin loving your story, really and truly, that you want to see it finished, you do begin to owe something, at least to yourself and to your story. Once you start getting fans, yeah, your fans do deserve your attention and a good story to the best of your ability. What they do with that story from that point on is up to them. You don't control that. And if you have a contract, you owe what you owe in that contract. If you try to break it, well, that's all on you. Phew, so there you have it. Those are my thoughts in regards to Patrick Rothfuss and George R. R. Martin not delivering on their stories, and they can no longer hide behind any sort of excuses. And the excuse of you don't owe anyone anything, you don't owe anyone a book or a story, that's only true when you're just getting started out. The moment that you begin to deliver, the moment that there's any sort of contract involved, you are committed. And I hope that you're ready. If you don't feel like you're ready, then put yourself through a similar challenge like to what I did. Say, I will write blah, 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 and I'm going to release a chapter or a scene every week. Try it. Do it. And if you can't make it, well, guess what? You are trying, and you will learn from that experience. You'll be able to better gauge for yourself what you're capable of and what you aren't, and you'll be able to adjust accordingly. Because in the world of writing, it's a marathon against yourself, not against other people. It's all about what you can deliver. We don't want you to burn out. We don't want you to neglect your mental health. But we don't want you to just curl up behind a little flimsy excuse and a shield and give yourself an easy out to be lazy either. Because that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your story. And if you're unable to give a story to the world, well, you're kind of depriving the world of an excellent story. So, again, with all that being said, those are my thoughts here. If you're looking for more reviews, insights, and analyses and all different kinds of stories and subjects, then please check out the rest of our videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support the work that we do, you can check out one of the 10 books I've published. Links for them are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.